You didn't have a dramatic childhood. No one would look at your life from the outside and call it hard, but somewhere along the way, you stopped being a kid and nobody noticed, not even you. You became the one who held it together, the one who read the room before you even walked in, the one people leaned on, never the one who leaned. And the strange part? You're still that person, right now, today, in your relationships, in your work, in the way you can't seem to ask for help without feeling like a burden. This is going to show you exactly how that happened and what it's quietly cost you every single day since. Stage 1. The gap. It doesn't start with a single moment. It starts with a feeling. You notice something in your home is slightly off. Not broken, just tilted. A parent who comes home exhausted and needs to talk. A silence at the dinner table that you somehow feel responsible for filling. A tension between adults that nobody explains, but everyone expects you to navigate around. You're not asked to step up, not directly, but you start to feel, in the quiet way children feel things before they can name them, that someone needs to. And so you do. You stop asking for things, not because anyone told you to, but because you could see the weight other people were already carrying, and adding to it felt wrong. So you got smaller, quieter about your own needs, more attuned to everyone else's. This is where it begins, not in the hard moments, in the small, invisible ones. The ones where a child decides, without fully realizing they've decided anything at all, that the safest thing they can do is be needed. Stage 2. The role solidifies. At some point, it stops being a choice and starts being a function. You become the one who manages the mood of the room, the one who knows when to joke and when to go quiet, the one who checks on everyone else before anyone checks on them. You mediate. You smooth things over. You absorb tension so other people don't have to feel it. And people praise you for it. They call you mature, wise beyond your years. Adults tell you you're different from other kids, that they can talk to you like an equal. And some part of you holds on to that, because in a home where love feels conditional, maturity is the currency that keeps you safe. So you get better at reading people, better at anticipating what they need before they ask, better at hiding the parts of yourself that might be inconvenient to others. You become so good at this that nobody, not your parents, not your teachers, not even you, stops to ask what you might actually need. Because from the outside, you look like you've got it handled. And you do. That's exactly the problem. Stage 3. The self goes silent. There's a version of you that never got to exist. The version that throws a tantrum and gets comforted instead of managed. The version that says, I don't want to, and isn't made to feel guilty for it. The version that has a bad day and is allowed to just have it without immediately wondering if it's affecting the people around them. That version got slowly, quietly buried. Not by cruelty, by necessity. You learned something early that most children never have to learn. That your emotions were a burden, not your grades, not your helpfulness, your emotions, the messy, inconvenient ones that had no use to anyone. So you pressed them down. You built a version of yourself that was calm, capable, easy to be around, and you wore that version so long it started to feel like the real you. But it wasn't the real you. It was armor, and armor is heavy. The cost of this stage isn't something you can point to. It's more of a quiet, persistent sense that you don't quite know who you are when nobody needs anything from you. That without a problem to solve or a person to hold together, something feels off, like you don't know how to just exist without earning your place in the room. Stage 4. Adulthood arrives. The pattern doesn't leave. You grow up, you leave, and somewhere in the back of your mind, you tell yourself things will be different now, that you'll finally get to just be a person. But the pattern doesn't get that message. You walk into friendships and become the one everyone calls when something goes wrong. You enter relationships and find yourself giving more, managing more, asking for less. You take on more at work than you should because stepping back feels irresponsible and resting feels like a betrayal of something you were taught to believe about your own worth. And when things are genuinely calm, unremarkably, quietly calm, something in you goes uneasy because calm was never safe. Calm was the silence before something needed fixing. So you scan. You look for what might be about to go wrong because being caught off guard once cost too much. The people in your life see someone dependable, steady, strong, someone who just handles things, and you let them see that. Because being needed is the only version of being loved that you've ever fully trusted. What they don't see is how tired you are, how long you've been tired, how you've been tired since you were 8 years old.
Stage 5. The weight becomes visible. There comes a point where the body starts saying what the mind's been refusing. It might show up as exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, or a quiet resentment toward the people you love most, not because of anything they've done, but because you've been carrying them and nobody's carrying you, and some part of you is finally starting to notice. It might show up in a moment so small it almost seems embarrassing. Someone asks how you are and actually waits for an answer, and instead of the automatic, "I'm fine," something catches in your throat. Because the honest answer is complicated, because it's been building for a long time. You start pulling back, not dramatically, just quietly. You stop volunteering as much. You start feeling a distance between who you are and the role you've been playing. And with that distance comes something uncomfortable, the question of who you are without the role. Because you've been the mature one for so long, the strong one, the one who holds it together. If you put that down, what's left?
Stage 6. The recognition. It usually arrives sideways, not in a therapist's office, though sometimes there, more often in an ordinary moment, a conversation, something you read, a video like this one where something clicks and suddenly the shape of your entire life makes a different kind of sense. You weren't born this careful. You weren't born this attuned to everyone else's needs. You weren't uncomfortable with receiving. You were taught, slowly, through years of a dynamic that nobody in your family would have called harmful, because from the outside, it looked like you were thriving. The maturity was real, the capability was real, but so was the cost. The way you still hesitate before asking for something, the way being vulnerable feels like a risk that might not pay off, the way you measure your worth by what you're doing for others, the way rest still has to be earned. These aren't personality traits. They're the logical outcome of a child who learned that love was something you provided, not something you were simply given for existing. That recognition doesn't erase the pattern, but it creates just enough space between you and it to ask, maybe for the first time, what do I actually want?
Stage 7. The way back. Healing from this doesn't look like becoming a different person. It looks like slowly giving yourself permission to be a whole one. It usually starts with grief, grieving the childhood that was spent managing instead of being held, grieving the version of yourself that never got to be soft or uncertain without it costing something. That grief isn't self-pity, it's acknowledgement, and acknowledgement is where change begins. Then it looks like noticing when you shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable, noticing when you say, "I'm fine," before you've even checked, noticing when you feel the pull to fix something that isn't yours to fix. You don't have to stop immediately, you just have to start seeing it. And then, slowly, practice, letting someone do something for you without returning the favor right away, letting a conversation be about you without redirecting it back to them. Letting rest be rest, not something you've earned by being useful enough. The goal isn't to stop caring for people. You're probably a deeply caring person, and that matters. The goal is to stop caring for people at the expense of yourself, to learn the difference between giving from fullness and giving from fear, to understand that your worth was never something you needed to perform. It was already always there. You were a child doing the only thing that made sense in the environment you were given. You kept things together. You showed up. You held it all. You don't have to keep doing that forever. You're allowed to put it down.